Hello, everyone. Good morning. And yes, it's me, Mrs. Cubbage, back again with more etiquette class, um, part two, vacation and travel etiquette, part two. Etiquette class with Mrs. Cubbage is sponsored by Vibrant Souls Health and Wellness. You can find them on IG and you can email them at vibrantsouls@gmail.com. We're going to get right into this. As I'm sure you know, we are back. Sam C and I are back in Pittsburgh now. There have been a lot of fun activities that we've been a part of, as I'm sure you already know. But I wanted to make sure that I got this part in because it is the beginning of travel season. And these are things that you ought to know. And I want to tell you about a very, very, very crazy experience that we experienced while we were in Lancaster. So, etiquette class with Mrs. Cubbage begins right now. Okay, well, as I said before in the last, in the last video concerning vacation etiquette, um, when you vacation in a spot that's different than where you are from, you need to follow the rules and the regulations of that place. So, Sam C and I went to the beautiful, amazing Sight and Sound Theater in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Now, Sight and Sound is an experience all in itself. This is a place where actors, Bible enthusiasts, Christians, if you're just into the Bible and you love Jesus and you just want to learn more, you want to add more to your spiritual growth, you could even say, this is a great place for you. This is where they bring the stories of the Bible to life, literally. I mean, I shouldn't say to life because those stories in the Bible were already live, right? So I'll say bring them back to life. That's what I should tell them to say. Instead of bringing them to life, bringing them back to life. And the first time Sam C and I went to see a show was last year, and it was Moses. Yes, it was Moses. And it was amazing. You really felt like you were there when the sea parted and just all the different trials and tribulations Moses went through to get to the promised land and to bring his people to the promised land. And they did that same thing this time and if you are near a Sight and Sound, it comes highly recommended from the Cubbages, I must say. But they did this, they did the same thing. I'm not going to say they tried. They did do the same thing this year with Daniel. Sorry, I'm going to say David is next year. Daniel. Okay, so in other words, Daniel, in the lion's den, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, in the fire. I mean, I don't want to ruin it for you, but if you know the Bible and you've read the stories and you've read the verses, I'm sure you'd be aware of the things that this production would put on. So we went to an evening show, and we were on the front row, and we got 2 seats, primo spot, and we were fine. The people that sat next to us were a family, and I'm going to say next to and behind. They took up the rest of our row and the whole row behind us. Now, that technically wasn't the issue. The issue was the children as well as the adults in the family, except maybe an aunt, an uncle, and looked like maybe the grandmother. Everyone else was unruly. The kids were getting up and walking around. Now, let me tell you, Sight and Sound has an area because they know that their productions can be long. And unfortunately, this particular production was longer because they ended up with technical difficulties. So by the time, plus an intermission, so everything was over about 10 minutes to 11, and it started at 7. And on top of that, they want you to be there 45 minutes early. So it was basically half of a day shift, okay? Half of an 8-hour shift, honestly. So the children were already unruly before they even sat down. The father of all of these children, he was walking around, bumping into us and bumping into other people. The younger children kept touching Sam. The little one was putting his feet on me, and there was another little one. They kept switching around, and the one little one, she's laying her head on me, and though I am a teacher and I'm used to people touching me, I hate to say that, I'm used to people touching me, hands on me, all of that, little fingers, wherever. But when you don't know who the people are you're sitting with, and I'll be honest, the people that this family, they didn't know us. They didn't know I was a teacher. Maybe I don't want your child. I mean, I really didn't want, these children touching and laying their heads on me and their feet on me and those types of things. But Sam and I weren't going to get rowdy. We weren't going to ruin anyone's evening. And there was really, you don't want to come out of your character for something like that. Let's just say that. Plus, where are you? You're in Sight and Sound Theater where they're putting on a biblical performance. So you want to act a certain way. I mean, you shouldn't have to act. You should just be that way. I think after a little while, the family realized that, I don't know if they wanted us to move. We weren't going to. They realized that rather early. And I believe they were trying to get us so annoyed that maybe we would complain and they would, maybe Sight and Sound would move us or whatever. We weren't going to do that. We weren't going to do that. And I think that it actually surprised them, so much so that the father left, and I guess he was finished being annoying. They took a couple of the kids out of our area, and the mother, who initially was sitting next to me, decided she was going to sit in the back row. So, so sometimes it is best to use decorum. However, and I'm being very serious, if you do not know how to control your children, and those of you who do have children know who you are. If you do not know how to control your children, maybe a 3-hour performance is not the proper place for you to bring your children. Maybe McDonald's, where they could jump around in the play area. Chuck E. Cheese, I believe, is still out there, right? I may be wrong. I don't know. I think there is still Chuck E. Cheese, though Samsi and I do not have children of our own. And I know this is coming from someone who does not have children. However, I've taught many children over 20 years now. And there are so many other places that you could take your children. Not to a 3-hour evening performance of the biblical nature. Number one, they didn't understand. Number two, they were too young. Number three, they were unruly. Number four, you yourself was tired and unruly. This is not what you should do. You should take your children to a park. Now, granted, that's a little bit late to take kids to the park, but that's okay. You can take them somewhere where they could eat, jump around, and they could have a grand old time. A biblical production is not the place. Those of you know who you are. Don't make it uncomfortable for yourself and everyone else. I only noticed one of the adults, and she was sort of in control of her daughter, sort of. She kind of snatched her up and just kind of looked like, oh no, looking at us. No, you go ahead. Discipline the way you want to discipline. I was raised old school, so I know when I'm supposed to sit and be quiet. That's a part of old school etiquette and old school training, right? And if you want to enjoy a nice evening out with your children and you don't want them to be unruly, it's time to discipline. And we will discuss discipline type etiquette on another show. But that is something that you may want to consider. I know there's a lot of different methods out there, and some of them are great. Some of them, I hate to say, are not worth it. But if you want the children to listen and you want them to grow up to be sturdy, stand-up people, they're going to need some type of discipline and some type of consequence. I'm sure that the children we saw the other night, I'm sure there's no discipline at all, except for the one little girl, sort of, I'll say. But this is what the world has come to. I can't imagine doing that when I was these children's ages. No, there's no way you're going to act up like this. And you're not going to embarrass me in front of all these people. You're going to sit down, you're going to be quiet, or else there will be some consequences. I don't know. And that's coming from someone with no children. So please consider this. Please consider this, especially when you are on vacation. Now, I've got myself quite a story to tell, but it's actually hopefully a teachable moment. Hopefully. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to me on my soapbox. I didn't mean to get on my soapbox. That could be a bit rude of me talking about etiquette, but it is a very, very serious thing. And we're seeing how respect and things are shifting as they were. So please, please, please keep these things in mind. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up on this video. Like, click, share, and subscribe to the channel. And please hit the bell for notifications. Have an amazing week, everyone, and take care of yourself. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye.